Hey guys, welcome back. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and this is our last day of new information for this chapter. Tomorrow you will take a quiz, and then next week will be a week to work on your project. So again, I really hope you're taking great notes. I want you to be able to use these notes to help you on the quiz. The quiz will go through all of the information we've covered so far in this chapter. So let's get started. Today we are going to talk about finding the area of circles. So you will calculate the area of a circle using a formula, estimate the area of a circle, and relate area to real life situations. You will need your math book, math notebook, pen and pencil, and you will want a calculator for today. Again, you can use your notes, you can use your book, you can use a calculator on the quiz tomorrow. Use those tools to help you. The real key is going to be that you make sure you're using the right formula. So really good notes. All right, here's our formula for the area of a circle. The area of the circle is pi times radius squared. So when you see this, pi r squared, let's kind of talk through what this means. So first important thing is we use 3.14 for pi. If you have a calculator that has pi, I don't want you to use that. I still want you just to use 3.14. I don't want you to have to worry about rounding right now. So if your calculator has pi, don't use that. Use 3.14. R is radius. Again, this is the distance from the center of a circle to the point on the circle. So it's the one that just goes halfway through. If you're given a diameter, the diameter goes all the way through. You will have to divide it by 2 first to find the radius. All right? Today's probably the trickiest one because there's just a lot of things you need to keep in mind. If you don't know the difference between radius and diameter, you need to review that. And then you also need to know that the radius is always going to be half of the diameter. So like, let's say you're given a circle and the diameter is 10 inches. Half of 10 is 5. So 5 is what we're going to use for our formula because 5 would be the radius. We'll talk through that a little more in our examples. And then the last thing to remember is a number squared means that number times itself. You multiply the number times itself before you multiply by 3.14. So if our radius is 5, 5 squared means 5 times 5, which is 25. 5 squared does not mean 5 times 2. We got to remember that. That's really important. It means that number times itself. So I would write that down. Essentially what you're going to do is radius times radius, and then that times 3.14. All right, let's do some examples. Okay, so here in this example, we've got our circle and we are given the radius, right? Remember, radius goes from the center to the outside. It's half of it, essentially. So our radius is 4, so we're going to put that in our into our formula. Pi times 4 squared. And we are remembering that 4 squared means 4 times 4. So go through these slowly. Don't try to rush it and do all the steps at once, or you might make mistakes. So 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. So now we're left with pi times 16. We're going to use 3.14 for pi, and we can put this in our calculator. 3.14 times 16 equals 50.24 centimeters squared. Because it's area, we want to make sure we label it square units. Make sure you get really good notes on this. I would draw that circle out and everything. So if you need to pause it, you need to rewind, listen to what I said so that this is really clear, please do that. Now, on this example, we're given a circle, but it shows the diameter, okay? So the diameter is from this point all the way over. So if our diameter is 10 centimeters, then our radius is 5. The radius is always half of the diameter. It's really important as you're doing your homework, as you're taking your quiz, that if you see that line going all the way through, you need to take that diameter and do half of it to find the radius. Okay, so notice I put 5 for my radius. 5 squared means 5 times 5, which is 25. Now we're going to use 3.14 for pi. So we can put this in our calculator. 3.14 times 25 equals 78.5 centimeters squared. So really important things today. If you're given the diameter, use half of it for the radius. And squared means that number times itself. So make sure you have those concepts down before you get into the homework today. Okay, now this is really important. Your assignment today is page 247. You're going to do 15 through 20, all of them, and then 24 through 26, all of those. On 15 through 20, you are asked to find the circumference and the area of the circle. So you should have 2 answers. So quick review, circumference means the area around the circle. 2 formulas for that, either pi times diameter, or if you're given the radius, right, we multiply that radius times 2. So we do 2 times pi times radius. And then the area is pi times radius squared. Sometimes you'll get the same answer for the circumference and the area. So if you get the same answer, don't assume that you did it wrong, okay? Just kind of depends. Sometimes they can come out the same. All right, so pause, complete those, and we'll go over them here in a second. All right, guys, let's talk through these. Now, first thing, if you don't have 2 answers on 15 through 20, I want you to pause and go do that. All right, so we'll do the area first on these. So on 15, we were given the diameter. So before we could find our area, we needed to do half of that. Half of 4 is 2. Then we did 2 squared, which is 2 times 2, so that's 4. And then 4 times pi is 4 times 3.14 is 12.56 inches squared. Our circumference, we're going to use pi times diameter. So this is one where we did end up with the same answer. On 16, you're also given a diameter. So we needed to do half of that to find our radius. So we did 3 squared, which is 9, and then 9 times 3.14, which is 28.26 feet squared. And then the circumference, we're using the formula pi times diameter. So 3.14 times 6 is 18.84 feet. On 17, you were given the radius, so you could just put that into the formula. So 2 squared is 4, and then 4 times 3.14 is 12.56 yards squared. And then this was one where you did end up with the same answer. Now on this one, we needed to use, for the circumference, we needed to use the formula 2 pi r because we're given the radius. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 3.14 is 12.56 yards. If you're getting these wrong, I want you to write down what I'm saying. You should be plugging into your calculator and go back in and review and see if you know why we use those numbers and what you did wrong. On 18, we're also given a radius. So we needed to do pi times radius squared. Well, that one was pretty simple because 1 times 1 is still 1, and then 1 times 3.14 is 3.14. So hopefully we didn't need a calculator on that one. And then for the circumference, we're going to use the formula 2 pi r. So our radius is 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. Then 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 yards. On 19, you're given the diameter. So for the area, first we needed to find the radius, and the radius would be 6. Then 6 squared is 36. And 36 times 3.14 is 113.04 centimeters squared. For the circumference on this one, we're doing pi times diameter. So 3.14 times 12, which is 37.68 centimeters. On 20, you were given the radius. So for the area, we're going to do our pi times radius squared. So you needed to do 11 times 11 and then multiply that by 3.14 and you got 379.94 meters squared. Then for the circumference, we're doing 2 times pi times the radius. So 2 times 11 is 22. Times 3.14 is 69.08 meters. So again, if you need to go back through and listen to those explanations, do that, write things down. You will be asked to do these on your quiz tomorrow. And you could also come to Math Help at 1 o'clock tomorrow before you take your quiz. And we'll go over some things on the quiz and we'll go over some formulas. All right, then on these last ones, you had some word problems. So we're doing a circular flower bed and the radius is 8 feet and they want to know the area. So we needed to do 8 times 8, which is 64, and then 64 times 3.14, which is 200.96 feet squared. On the next one, there's a round tablecloth with an area of 11 square feet. And they want to know if that's going to cover her table that has a diameter of 4 feet. Well, what you needed to do was find the area of a tablecloth that has a diameter of 4 feet. So the radius would be 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3.14 is 12.56. And they didn't actually ask you to find the area, but you had to do that. So if you don't have this 12.56, it's not wrong. That's just what tells you that, okay, well, this has an area of 12.56. That's bigger than 11, so no, it's not going to work. And then on the last one, we have a circular sandbox, and the radius is 6 feet, so they want to know the area. So we're going to do radius squared. 6 times 6 is 36, and 36 times 3.14 is 113.04 feet squared. Okay, guys, I feel like I just threw tons of numbers at you. Numbers. So again, if it doesn't make sense, please pause, rewind, write things down, reach out to me, come to Math Help at 1 o'clock tomorrow before you take your quiz. And then next week, it'll be a work week for your project. All right, guys, great job. Talk to you.